Hey guys, it's me, Pokemon Jaybear HD, and today we have week 3 of the Hive Kakuna, where we are trying to bounce back from our first loss of the season, and our opponent is Ice Demon Gray, and I believe it's the Barcelona Bagons. There's been a last-minute dropout by the person that was actually supposed to be my opponent this week, and so he thankfully is stepping in on very short notice and wanted to get this battle done, quickly as possible, so it didn't affect the next week of battle. So shoutouts to Ice Demon Gray for that. And if it's not the Barcelona Bagons, I will correct that in during the battle portion, since by the time I'm recording this, the actual doc for the league has not been updated. But regardless, my team is still unchanged, and it is Mega Kangaskhan, Keldeo, Sylveon, Z Metagross, Gliscor, Z Salazzle, Serena, Aerodactyl, Z Kyurem, Z with Z status as well, Umbreon, and Lantern. And yes, eventually I will bring Kyurem eventually, since I can use all Z moves and no restriction whatsoever, but this is not the week for that, unfortunately. And my opponent's team is Z Kyurem Black, Skarmory, Mega DNC, Rotom Wash, Dugtrio, Breloom, Magnezone, both the Dugtrio Magnezone are Z, since I forgot to say it, Meloetta, Golbat, Z Magmortar, and Musharna. And so, when I look at these teams, obviously, you just got the double trapping core of Dugtrio, Magnezone. Magnezone's not really a big issue to me, since my team's, most of it's faster than it anyway, and my Steel type isn't 4 times weak to anything, so it really doesn't take a whole lot of advantage of Metagross. But Dugtrio, on the other hand, is a big issue. It's conveniently outspeeds my whole team outside of Aerodactyl, and I do have a good amount of ground weaknesses, and only the Serena and Gliscor resist or are immune to it, and the Aerodactyl as well, but I'm only bringing 2 of my 3. So it does definitely have to be in the back of my head, and I'm only, at least of the mons I brought, there's only 2 mons that I'm really too concerned with being trapped, but I do have to scout out if it is, or not really scout out since I can't really switch, but see if it's Z, see if it's Sash. If it's Sash, definitely you want to break that, and if it's Z, hope that whatever's in against it does not just get blown back by a Z. So that definitely is annoying, but then on top of that, obviously there's a Z Kyurem Black, which just probably just claims its kill if it's running its super powered ice move. And then Mega DNC is obviously just a huge threat in general. But with that, we'll go into my team for this week, which starts off with Mega Kangaskhan, which I was actually not going to bring it initially, but I kept waffling between Kyurem and this, which I ended up staying on the Mega Kangaskhan with the Return, Power Up Punch, Fire Punch, Sucker Punch. And the reasoning that I did that was that I didn't want to deal with speed ties with Kyurem, because it's speed ties with Kyurem Black, and that's just a problem. I would rather have something faster than that. I know that I don't have any move that OHKOs, because I think the only thing that probably would is maybe low kick if even. But if I do have a power up punch up, then I definitely OHKO it with a Return, unless it's extremely bulky variant, which then wouldn't really be able to do the damage back to me, since I'm also naturally bulky. And obviously there's Skarmory there, and I did, some calking, and +2 fire punch does do a ton of damage, and so that gave me the confidence to bring it, because I am bulky enough to where I should be able to get a power-up punch up, against something, and then once I'm at +2, return plus fire punch hits everything, extremely hard, other than Mega Dancy, which it outspeeds me anyway, so I didn't really care to put coverage on it for the Mega Dancy, but other than that, I think I naturally outspeed everything else on the team beyond the Dugtrio and Mega Dancy, so I covered all those, and then Sucker Punch obviously helps with the Dugtrio, which it does not kill at unless I'm +2 already. So while that's unfortunate, and it would be cool to have fake out Sucker Punch like I was trying to do against Mega Mancham last week, I definitely could not fit that on there because of the stupid Skarmory. And next up, we have Metagross, something that does nothing to Skarmory, making it all the more important that I have other things that take it on. So I have Shuckaberry to deal with the Dugtrio, since it's naturally very bulky and defensive, and I'm running almost max HP. So Shuckaberry definitely helped with that, and then in addition, maybe Kyurem Black going for a Earth Power, or if I feel the need to switch this into Mega DNC, then Earth Power as well is the move it's going to want to go for, so Shuckaberry is just very helpful, and I'm running enough speed to outspeed Magnezone, because if I am going to get trapped by it, it would be great to know if it's Scarfed or not, and if it's not Scarfed, I kill it with an Earthquake, barring like Sturdy, I guess, but and I could try to switch and find that out anyway, so I figured that Magnezone really doesn't bother me much, so Shucka was fine, and Zen Headbutt plus Bullet Punch is obviously dual stab, but it hits a lot of the team pretty hard, because the Bullet Punch priority is nice for both the Kyurem Black and the, obviously, Oko's DNC, and Zen Headbutt then deals, some damage to Rotom Wash that might want to switch in, it hits the Breloom, it hits the Golbat, and so, although this isn't going to necessarily do a whole lot of damage since I'm only running minimal attack investment, it's at least going to be a nice switch into a lot of his mons, which seems to be how I use this every week. And next up we have an actually normal Gliscor this time, and it's a little more offensive than most Gliscors are, which I'm running the Earthquake, Facade Roost, Swords Dance with the Toxic Orb, Poison Heal, and for this sake, I did want it to be able to do significant damage in Oko, a Dugtrio, Oko, DNC. I mean, obviously they're both faster, but I should be able to live a hit barring an HP Ice from DNC, which even if I did max HP, max special defense, it wasn't going to take it anyway. And then the speed I have is to outspeed up to Meloetta, since if I went max speed, I would speed tie with Kyurem, which I'm not Okoing that by any means, and it's Okoing me with any ice move it could possibly have, so I didn't see any point to that. And then with the Swords Dance, again, I don't really hit Skarmory with this, but I do set up on Golbat, and I do set up on, or at least I can switch into Breloom and do damage back to it, and depending on, if it's extremely offensive or whatever set it may be, it's, I have a Spore switch in this once my Toxic Orb goes off, and it resists the priority fighting, so Earthquake just hits most of the team, and then Rotom Wash and Golbat get hit by Facade, and then if it really comes down to it, I'm sure I can do something to the Skarmory if it's a last mon where I can get all the way up to +6 Facade. I mean, I haven't calced it, and I don't want to have to calc that, but I imagine at least at some point I'll kill it, since I have Roosts and just naturally more healing than it does, so I probably would stall it out if I really need to, but hopefully that definitely is not the case. But otherwise I should be able to be a decent revenge killer, but mostly it's a kind of another switch in, although it's not super bulky, but it's just naturally got some good bulk to where I can, as well as its typing, just kind of switch into some of the physical attackers or just the more passive mons. And next up we have Keldeo, which is going to be specs with Scald, Secret Sword, Hydro Pump, and Aqua Jet. The Hydro Pump, I really, it's going to do a ton of damage to everything, and it 2-hit KOs, everything that doesn't resist water, other than maybe like a Max Spadef Meloetta with Assault Vest or something like that. But regardless, the water plus fighting coverage hits, everything neutrally, and so nothing really wants to switch in on this other than I can identify what's specially defensive and then appropriately, or I guess physically defensive for the Secret Swords, but I can appropriately deal with it, and just I don't really have to predict a whole lot since the dual stab is what I'm using, and then Aqua Jet just in case. I mean, I didn't need another move, so I didn't really see any other move I'd be using, and at least Aqua Jet can be a last-ditch effort if I'm, sacking this and it to something faster like the Dugtrio or the Mega DNC. But hopefully this breaks so that the Kangaskhan or maybe even the Salazzle can do something, where this one had to be Shed Shell for the Dugtrio. And why am I missing EVs? Whatever. Let's put in defense to take Mach Punch is better since we resist it, but it's frail anyway, so whatever. I don't think it'll matter that much. It's pretty frail, so this extra defense probably won't do anything. But oh yeah, I forgot the speed on this is to outspeed Kieran Black, and then this has the speed to outspeed what is it, Mega DNC, which I know it doesn't resist its dual stab, but Hidden Power Steel, if he's Mega Evolved, OHKOs. Now, you don't actually have to Mega Evolve, so I don't OHKO if it's not Mega Evolved, but I do if it is Mega Evolved, pretty much no matter what the spread, other than, if it's, I guess, max HP, max special defense, then maybe I wouldn't, but if you're gonna, Mega it, then obviously it should be offensive. So if it is Mega'd, Hidden Power Steel just OHKOs it outright. If it isn't, it doesn't, but I hopefully won't have to go for it in the case of being a lead of Mega DNC versus Salazzle. And so Shed Shell, obviously, to not be trapped by the stupid Dugtrio. And so whenever Dugtrio, I'm gonna have to reveal it immediately. He could pursue expecting it, who knows, but regardless, this is too important to let it die, because its dual stabs already do spread around the team. The only issues are if something is majorly invested in special defense and it doesn't do a whole lot of damage, so that's what the Nasty Plot can help with. If I'm expecting to force a switch, then I can go for that Nasty Plot and then go for the appropriate move rather than maybe a switch from something that can take on the Sludge Wave better, but then wouldn't take on that Fire Blast as well. So I don't know if I'll end up actually clicking Nasty Plot, but just in case. And, for that extra power, because Salazzle's pretty weak when I do Calc, so like I said, Hidden Power Steel doesn't even OHKO completely non-bulk invested regular DNC, so yeah. And last mon here, I'm not sure about this set. I kept mentioning Skarmory at the beginning because this is now the third mon that really doesn't deal with Skarmory, and my fear is that I'm just going to get walled by Skarmory if I play too recklessly with the Salazzle and the Keldeo, but it also does really help out with a lot of the team, other than Skarmory, being that Golbat should be a switch into this for the most part, and I can knock it off, and then that just makes it even more of setup fodder and easier to take down, as well as then maybe Musharna. I did a lot of calcs for it can be bulky on the physical side or the special side, so if Musharna does come, although it is the lowest point mon on the team, I actually am kind of scared of it because it does take hits very well, but it does get, it depending on if it's physical or especially bulky, it really can switch in on any of my mons, just, it will be designed for certain ones, so I need to discover that if that comes, and then this outspeeds the whole team, barring any Scarfers that are faster than Breloom, I believe is where I set the speed, and that, although I did end up looking and Breloom Scarf doesn't actually outspeed Aerodactyl, it might be expected that Aerodactyl, if I were to have brought it, wouldn't be max speed because it hits like 1 point lower than absolute max speed Aerodactyl. So to me that meant that maybe Scarf Breloom could come, and I didn't want to risk that, so I did want to bring this, and obviously Queenly Majesty stops any Mach Punch. So if say that it's grass move and or it's its only fighting move is Mach Punch, then obviously this stops that pretty comfortably. I wanted to fit spin on it, couldn't. Same with Defog on Gliscor. Felt like I needed all these moves, and hazards could be coming against me, which could be very annoying, but I really didn't think that I could do a hazard war by any means, and I have the Stealth Rocks, but I don't even know if I'll end up clicking it. But it does set up rocks, at least, because the DNC doesn't really deter it, but then Golbat and Skarmory both can, and Rotom Wash for that matter, they can all really defog pretty freely against my team. So, for the most part, I kind of want to just keep up offensive pressure with a lot of my mons, but I didn't want it to be straight hyper offense, so I do have the Gliscor and the Metagross for some bulk. But yep, that is the team, so I will be right back with team preview. And we are back here with team preview, and Ice Demon Gray, which I have confirmed now that is coach of the Barcelona Bagons, has brought the team of Mega DNC, Dugtrio, Skarmory, Kyurem Black, Golbat, and Magmortar. So when I see this, I can tell that at least, Keldeo, if I click the right move, really has no switch-ins, obviously, since there's, 3 Water Weak, 1 Fighting Weak, and then 2 Neutral to Water, since I'm going to obviously click the Water move on Skarmory rather than Secret Sword because of its Sky High defense. And then Metagross is also amazing, having the ability to potentially beat Dugtrio, DNC, Kyurem Black, and Golbat. So I know those 2 are definitely going to help me break through the team, and hopefully then I can finish it off with either Priority or Salazzle being the fastest mon once Dugtrio is gone, barring any Scarfers. And so I'm going to choose to lead with Serena because the trapping element of Dugtrio it's just, it worries me, and then I'm, technically speaking, yes, I could U-turn, although depending on, a potential Scarfer of his own, like if it's Magmortar or Kyurem Black, I probably don't want to stay in and take an Ice Beam or a Fire Blast trying to U-turn. So I can at least, either get a surprise KO turn 1 or maybe knock off an item, and if it's something I don't like, I can just switch around and see from there. So I lead with the Serena as he leads with the Kyurem Black, so I'm switching out. I'm not risking this. He goes for Earth Power, probably predicting my Metagross. So I'm free to just go for Secret Sword, and from this I can tell that this is physically defensive because, yes, Specs doing 10% means it's physically defensive. As I go into my Gliscor, which is a free switch-in on the Golbat, but makes a good play going for U-turn back into the Kyurem Black, so now free Ice move So I'm just going to switch into the Metagross so I can vary it up in case of a possible Fusion Bolt, and this could potentially be Scarfed. But at that point, since I'm not going to die to any one hit, I'm free to go for my Stealth Rocks. And then since Skarmory comes in and I can't really do anything to it, I'm going to make the offensive switch into Salazzle here and just throw off a Fire Blast because I want to see what the initial switch in is and what the plan. And so I get this Fire Blast off, and this is very bulky. You know, it could be Assault Vest, I couldn't really tell for sure with the calcs, but I can go into Gliscor, and he does miss this Fire Blast, which, with my investment, as long as he wasn't, you know, boosting item, could not OHKO me. But obviously, no matter what, like this, at least at this point, hitting that Fire Blast, even if it wasn't going to kill me, or even if it wasn't going to do a whole lot, but I mean, Magmortar's pretty strong, and I'm not super bulky, so it would still do a good chunk, regardless of the investment, and could give more information about my set. So that's definitely unfortunate for my opponent. So, but we are going to take advantage of this, and so since I'm in a good position, he should know I'm faster, you know, potentially, and so I just go straight into Salazzle, as it covers for covers for Skarmory, covers for Golbat, which are really the only ground switch-ins. And then I didn't think Kieran Black would come in, just because although he could have, it was just going to take unnecessary rocks damage, and then also, you know, potentially an Earthquake on top of that, so I felt safe in going into Salazzle here, and I don't mind taking the spike damage, as I don't really need health on Salazzle. It just needs to, you know, be able to live a switch in. And so since Golbat was the response here and it's kind of low, I don't know what it's going to do to me, but I feel free to just nasty plot up because it's not really threatening me. So then I can just throw off a Fire Blast and take out, you know, any Mon really at this point, because of my 3 moves. I basically just get a kill here. And so, and he's going to go into the Dugtrio, obviously, and I'm switching out because I'm Shed Shell, so I don't have to worry about that. Goes for the Earthquake, hoping that I was not Shed Shell, obviously, so he could just trap me and get rid of a threat, but I would not have pressed Salazzle without that. So then, again here, I make an aggressive play in, since I have the Gliscor as my switch in, and Dugtrio can't really do anything. I assume he's going to either, again, switch into either the Golbat or the Skarmory, and either way, since I know it's physically defensive at this point, I feel free to just throw off a Hydro Pump or a Scald. So, like, no matter what came in, other than, technically, you know, the Kieran Black would be the only thing where I wouldn't click the Water move, but I'm okay even if that's a switch in at this point, because now I can just click Hydro Pump and, for the most part, get a kill if he's not Scarfed, Kieran Black. And so now he can go into the Kieran Black, since he can take this hit, and that gives me the switch into Gliscor, as I've been trying to vary my switches, but Gliscor doesn't really do much anyway, so I'm okay with it just dropping to that Z move, and now I've at least confirmed that this is not Scarfed. And so I can go into my Serena to get some necessary chip damage, because, yeah, at 76%, I don't really have a way to OHKO it safely other than going for Secret Sword, and Secret Sword lets in the Golbat, so I did not want to do that, so I'm going to U-turn, and because I know it's mostly using special moves like Ice Beam, Earth Power, so it might be, you know, Freeze Shock for that super strong Z move, since he did go for it on my Keldeo, so I'm assuming that's what it is. I'm assuming it doesn't actually have a physical move, so that's less threatening, so I'm just going to go U-turn into my Kangaskhan, because now that U-turn damage puts it in range of return from Kangaskhan, which I will definitely go for, because I don't care if he switches at this point. I just want to get rid of this threat if I can, and worst case, if he does switch, you know, the Kieran Black is going to be weakened to where other things can kill it more easily. So now he goes into the Diancie. Obviously it outspeeds me and it's going to kill me in one hit easily. So I'm just going to sack my Keldeo here, as he actually goes for Diamond Storm and misses. And so I'm just going to, you know, so obviously that wasn't going to do a whole lot, but then, you know, I was trying to sack this anyway, so he could go for Moonblast right now and just kill me. But instead, he actually goes on to the Golbat as I go for Aqua Jet, so I guess he didn't realize that I was Specs at this point, and so that actually forces me now to switch into Kangaskhan, and so he goes for Taunt, and So it clearly shows, definitely did not know my specs. And the Aquajet play, I just wanted to try to put DNC in range of potentially a move that could be like maybe a high jump kick, so that it's 5% more accurate than Power Whip. So I'm just trying to minimize the ways that Serena would win, because obviously Bullet Punch OHKOs it, but if I have to, I would like to not risk moves that are gonna miss as much as possible. So goes for taunt, and so I was never gonna set up with any of my mons other than my oblivious Salazzle, so the taunt play was pretty useless for him in that now I can just attack and see what he's going to do, if he's just going to roost up or if he has an attack other than U-turn, because I haven't seen it yet. And he just goes for roost, and so since I'm only doing like 42% with that one, I can go for the power-up punch because he does not kill me with any one move. So goes for roost again, just trying to stay healthy, but now I easily 2-hit KO this. So I can now just spam return and claim a kill, which I end up getting a crit on that second one. Doesn't really matter, it goes for U-turn, because either way it was in range of rocks. And so now goes into DNC. I have Sucker Punch, but I didn't decide to use it because I'm just going into Metagross at this point. I don't care. Like, I should live what I'm expecting to either be Banded, Earthquake, or just Jolly Earthquake in general, because that has to be that speed to be able to outspeed my Salazzle. And so with the Shucka Berry, I do live the combination of Earthquake plus Sucker Punch. So at this point, I, barring a crit, will definitely just win the game with this Metagross because of my investment. So I'm not worried about this Dugtrio whatsoever. So I'm just going to go for EQ, hope it kills, just because it's 100% accurate over the Zen Headbutt. And so he goes for Earthquake, gets like what appears to be Jolly, and it's if it is Jolly, I think it's like a mid roll, like mid to high roll, like that's not a problem. I'm still out of range of Sucker Punch, so I can just click Bull Punch twice and win the game, which thankfully I do live like I thought I would, and I just win the game. And even if he did end up killing me, I still have my Aquajet. Funny enough, Aquajet Keldeo could have come in and revenged it, but I would have preferred to obviously go into Serena, being the Scarfer that outspeeds the rest of the team. So it was a pretty clean 4-0 win with me having the control, thankfully, a lot, but that was, I think, mostly in part 2, being very aggressive with my doubles into Salazzle, especially, just like I was last week, but instead this time I was willing to make a prediction and actually click Nasty Plot instead of just clicking Fire Blast every single time, letting the Magmortar come in. And so once I chipped that down, it seemed like Metagross definitely in the end game was going to succeed, since I had the Shucka Berry ready for any of the ground moves coming in. But now we are 2-1 plus 7, and I'm happy with where I'm at in the standings. I believe I'm the top of my division, but second in the conference. So we'll definitely work on getting to the top of the conference and hopefully a successful playoff run. Thank you for watching. Bye!